Monday mornings always smell like recycled air and burnt ambition. The office lights buzzed, bright enough to keep secrets awake. Conference room 18C was chilled to a surgical degree. Perfect temperature for people who cut numbers instead of flesh. I stood at the head of the table, pointer steady, slide glowing red. Helios Logistics fails 6 major compliance checks, I said. No tremor in my voice, no room for negotiation. Across from me, Min Tri smiled like a politician at a funeral. He loved the game of pretending to listen. His cufflinks caught the light, reflecting arrogance like a mirror. This is theoretical, isn't it? He asked softly. They move cargo, not classified satellites. I met his gaze, my tone flat as code. They move data, our client's lifeblood. Their trucks are rolling servers. If someone spoofs a signal, the chain breaks. He sighed, leaning back, pretending to weigh logic against profit. But I saw the answer already written in his pupils. Money had won before the meeting began. My analysts shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They knew which way the corporate wind was blowing. Still, I clicked to the next slide, full of red X's. It looked like a battlefield of failed promises. Until these risks are mitigated, I won't sign off. My voice echoed against the glass walls. Min's smile tightened. The polite mask of power cracking just a little. Then my phone buzzed on the table. A vibration sharp as a whisper from the past. One glance at the screen stopped my breath. Mom, come home tonight. Aunt Lan's here. A message that felt like a knife disguised as silk. The room faded for a moment, replaced by old wallpaper and the smell of oil. I blinked, and the present snapped back. Min was still talking. A minor delay could cost us the quarter, he said. Every word polished, every tone rehearsed. He thought pressure worked on everyone. He didn't understand pressure that came with bruises. I flipped the screen black. Meeting over. Helios will comply or the deal dies, I said. No one argued. No one ever does when truth sounds like a blade. As I gathered my notes, my phone buzzed again. Please, Lynn, just tonight, don't embarrass me. My mother's words, recycled from decades past. They used to make me small. Now they made me tired. Outside the conference room, the hallway lights flickered. I walked toward my office, heels sharp against marble. Each click sounded like punctuation in a story I didn't write. I stopped by the window overlooking the city. The glass reflected a woman in control. But beneath that reflection lived another version. The one who learned to stay quiet, to stay still. The one who heard that same engine every night. The one who once believed silence could keep her safe. The phone buzzed again. This time I didn't read it. I just stared at the skyline and whispered to no one. I'm not coming home for a show. But even I didn't believe that yet. The road to Haiphong looked the same as memory. Cracked asphalt. Houses too close together. A sky that always felt one breath away from breaking. I parked by the curb, engine humming in the silence. The air smelled like rust and wet leaves. The porch light flickered, weak and apologetic. Before I could knock, the door swung open. Lynn, you're here, my mother said, her voice thin with nerves. Her hand fluttered on my shoulder like a moth. Inside, the house was a museum of bad choices. Same yellow curtains. Same couch that sagged under years of pretending. Aunt Lan sat by the window, smiling too brightly. Look at you, she said. So professional, so successful. I smiled the way you smile, when it's safer not to speak. Then I heard the sound I dreaded most. A harsh metallic bark from the garage. The kind of sound that didn't just break air, it broke time. My mother flinched. Her hands trembled on the tray of glasses. That damn truck, she muttered, forcing a laugh. The air turned thick, sticky with silence. And then he appeared. How? Taller than I remembered. Or maybe the house had just grown smaller. His shirt was stained with oil. His eyes were still the color of old bruises. "Well," he said, voice heavy with amusement. "Still working those fancy computers, huh?" It wasn't a question. It was a judgment wrapped in mockery. I nodded once, keeping my tone clipped. "Data compliance, it's mostly analysis." He chuckled, reaching for a beer from the cooler. "You people make things too complicated. A truck's a truck. It runs or it doesn't." I felt heat rise in my chest, a reflex from years of swallowing rage. My fingers touched my collar, adjusting fabric over an old scar. Aunt Lan's eyes followed the movement. She looked away fast. Too fast. She knew. The sound came again from the garage. That same ragged ignition, uneven and angry. My phone, sitting in my bag, blinked red. Auto-record mode. A habit from work. It was catching every second of this suffocating reunion. Every lie disguised as laughter. Every threat disguised as small talk. "Come sit," my mother said too brightly. "Tell your aunt about your projects." Her voice wobbled, stretched thin like an old wire. I talked about encryption keys and data audits. Words that filled space but changed nothing. Meanwhile, the engine outside barked again. The house seemed to vibrate with it. Like it remembered, too. I felt my heartbeat sync with the machine's rhythm. Sharp, uneven. My past, idling in the next room. The same sound that once followed a belt unbuckling. Now it was just noise. But my phone didn't think so. It was archiving everything. A perfect, time-stamped record. Evidence of something I hadn't yet defined. But I knew. That sound wasn't just an engine. It was a signature. And tonight, I had captured it. The office was quiet when I arrived before dawn. The city outside was still half asleep, lights pulsing like tired eyes. I liked mornings like this. No noise. No witnesses. Just me and the hum of machines that never judged. I powered up my system, the monitors flaring to life in cold blue light. The night at my mother's house felt like a glitch I couldn't debug. So I did what I always did. I looked for data. I searched the vendor list for Helios Logistics. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat. I scrolled through names, cross-checking ownership records. And then there it was. Maintenance provider, How Garage. My fingers froze on the keyboard. The name burned on the screen like a wound reopening. How? Not just a ghost from childhood. Now a supplier in a multi-million-dollar contract. My breath came slow, deliberate, as if each inhale was permission to continue. I opened the service records. Dates. Invoices. Inspection logs. All perfectly clean, too clean. I'd seen this pattern before. Overpolished data. Manicured truth. I dug deeper, running queries through hidden databases. Corporate shell trails. Tax filings. Freight logs that didn't match their declared routes. One name repeated across multiple companies. Helios. Rookfield Transit. And now, Howe's Garage sitting at the center like a spider in a web. My world, the one I'd built from precision and certainty, tilted slightly. This wasn't just conflict of interest. This was contamination. The personal, bleeding into the professional. I stood, packing the narrow space between screens. The hum of electronics sounded like whispering. I opened the audio file from last night. The waveform unfolded in jagged peaks. That ugly, uneven rhythm. The truck's voice. The voice of my past. I let the software process it, mapping frequency to pattern. Then I compared it to Helios's fleet diagnostics, archived on their open server. Truck MX920. Same make. Same age. Same reported malfunction in the left cylinder. Coincidence was dead the moment the data aligned. I stared at the two waveforms, perfectly overlapping. The visual proof looked like a confession in light. I saved both files into a secure folder labeled TempVID. Temporary only in name. I wasn't ready to tell anyone yet. Not until I understood how deep this infection went. My phone buzzed with a message from Min Try. Quick update later. Need your sign-off soon. I didn't answer. He wanted efficiency. I wanted the truth. The difference between us was measurable and fatal. I typed a new request in the compliance system. Full uncompressed audio diagnostics for MX920. Last 90 days. I hit send. No hesitation. Behind me, the morning sun caught the edge of my monitor. Light sliced across the room like a blade. In that pale reflection, I saw both of them, the woman of rules and the girl of scars. And for the first time, they looked exactly the same. The data file arrived at 3:07 p.m. sharp. Subject line: MX920 engine diagnostics. The attachment glowed like a loaded weapon in my inbox. I downloaded it to the secure drive, isolating it from the network. The file was huge, uncompressed, a perfect mirror of sound. When I opened it, the waveform expanded like a living thing. Uneven peaks. Short bursts of distortion. The same broken rhythm I could still hear in my bones. I loaded my own recording beside it. Last night's engine, captured by accident and memory. 2 sounds. 2 timelines. 1 truth. The software began to align them, pixel by pixel, tone by tone. Each frequency matched like fingerprints pressed in oil. I watched as the data merged. A perfect, painful symmetry. Correlation, 94.8%. It wasn't coincidence. It was connection. The truck in my stepfather's garage was the same one in Helios's system. My chest felt hollow. Not fear. Recognition. The man who broke my silence now fueled the lie inside my company. I stared at the screen until the edges blurred. Then I started documenting. Screenshots. Metadata. Every timestamp stamped twice. Evidence wasn't emotion. It was architecture. By 5 p.m., I had built my first wall of proof. But the air in the room shifted. A text appeared on my phone. Min Try, appreciate your speed. Execs want this done tonight. The words smelled of pressure, cheap cologne, and greed. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my personal vault and created a folder. Dead switch. A failsafe. If my account went silent, everything would forward to legal. Every file. Every truth. I uploaded the recordings and encrypted them twice. Password, clause 47. The irony made me smile. Clause 47, my own addition to the compliance code. The right to verify identity through acoustic telemetry. Everyone had laughed when I wrote it. Too obscure, they said. Too technical. Too paranoid. Now it was prophecy. The proof that sound could indict the powerful. The hum of the office faded as the sun died behind glass. I leaned back, headphones on, replaying the overlapping sounds. That same uneven bark. That same mechanical breath between roars. The noise of my childhood and the noise of corruption were identical. Somehow, that symmetry felt like justice waiting to happen. I closed the laptop gently, as if tucking in a dangerous secret. Outside, the streetlights flickered on, each one blinking in sequence. I imagined the city as a vast circuit board, current pulsing through its veins. Every system leaves a trace. Every lie has an echo. And now I had both. I stood, my reflection split across the glass. The girl who once trembled, and the woman who now listened. And for the first time, they breathed in sync. The first call came after midnight. My phone lit the dark room like a pulse. I didn't recognize the number, but I already knew. I answered anyway. Still awake, Lynn? Min Try's voice slid through the line. He sounded too calm, too polite. Your audit files are creating unnecessary noise, he said. Noise. That word again. He always talked about truth like it was static. You should focus on what benefits everyone, he continued. I said nothing. He mistook my silence for fear. We're partners here. Don't forget who approves your budget. The call ended before I could breathe again. I placed the phone face down, the screen glowing under my palm. The quiet felt alive. A moment later, another vibration. A message this time. A picture of my mother's house, taken from the street. Then another. My own shadow inside the window. No text, no caption. Just the image. The air in my chest turned thin. I stared at the wall, counting breaths until the panic passed. Then I opened my computer. If fear was data, I would process it. I checked the logs. The recordings were still secure. The dead switch still armed. Everything intact. I should have felt safe. But safety had never been real, only calculated. By 2 a.m., I began writing my report. Conflict of interest, identified between vendor Helios Logistics and maintenance partner Howe Garage. The words steadied me. Facts always did. I added the correlation analysis, the 94.8% match, the metadata chain. Each line of text was a piece of armor. A knock at the door stopped my hands. Too soft to be the wind. I froze. Waited. No sound. Then footsteps retreating down the hall. I looked through the peephole. Empty corridor. Only a folded envelope on the floor. Inside, a single photo. Me, leaving the office earlier that day. Written on the back, stop recording the past. My pulse thudded in my ears. But the fear burned clean this time. Not paralysis. Precision. I scanned the image and filed it with the others. Evidence, not threat. They were building pressure. I was building a case. At dawn, the sky cracked open in pale blue light. I made coffee, hands steady now. Opened the last file from the night before. The 2007 recording, pulled from a backup drive I hadn't touched in years. The voice of my mother crying. The sound of the belt sliding. And underneath, that same mechanical roar. The same engine. The same rhythm. Proof that violence leaves a pattern even machines can't erase. I let the sound run until it filled the apartment. Then I whispered into the hum. You taught me silence. Now I'll make it speak. And I hit save. I met Aunt Lan at a quiet cafe near the river. The place smelled of coffee and rain-soaked wood. She sat by the window, hands clasped tight around a cup she didn't drink. Her eyes flicked up when she saw me. You look tired, she said. So do you, I replied. We didn't smile. There was nothing left to disguise. I slid the phone across the table. Listen. The audio played softly, a whisper of the past. The truck's growl. My mother's broken voice. A slap muffled by wallpaper. Lan froze. Her lips parted but no words came. I watched her face crumble, second by second. I thought if I stayed quiet it would stop, she whispered. It never stops, I said. She nodded, tears tracing invisible lines across her cheeks. He's still working for them. Min tries people. They paid him through contracts. He doesn't even hide it anymore. I leaned forward. Then you'll help me end it. Her hesitation lasted only a heartbeat. Yes. I uploaded the recording into the internal ethics system at Novatech. Flagged, urgent. Supporting material, verified. By noon, an emergency board meeting was scheduled. 12 people in a glass room, high above the city. They called it a review. It felt like a trial. Min Tri walked in last, suit perfect, eyes dull with arrogance. He glanced at me, smirked slightly. He still believed in control. He didn't understand that data had already spoken. I stood, projecting the waveforms on the main screen. Two sounds appeared, side by side. The company's truck diagnostics. The audio from my recording. Identical patterns in the left cylinder sequence. 94.8% match. Clause 47 in action. The room went still. This is the vehicle tied to unauthorized data transfers, I said. And this is the same vehicle maintained by a vendor, owned by Mr. Howe, and GUY, letter 1EC5N. A murmur rippled through the board. I continued, voice steady. Financial trails link Helios Logistics, Brookfield Transit, and a consulting firm registered under Mrs. Min Try. I clicked the next slide. Wire transfers. Signatures. Dates. Numbers didn't lie. Min's face drained of color. You can't prove intent, he spat. I don't have to, I said. The system already did. Silence spread like smoke. No one moved. The chairman finally spoke. Effective immediately. You're suspended pending investigation. Min's mouth opened, but the sound died in his throat. For once, he had no control. I gathered my files and walked out. Outside, the sky was breaking into sunlight. Lan waited by the entrance, holding her coat close. She looked at me, eyes red but alive. Did it work? She asked. Yes, I said. But this isn't about winning. It's about ending the echo. We stood there, watching the traffic flow like data streams. The hum of engines filled the air. I listened carefully. Each sound sharp, honest, real. For the first time, the noise didn't hurt. It sounded like freedom. The office was empty when I returned that night. Only the hum of the servers greeted me. I uploaded the final report, locked it under my name. Clause 47 closed the case. Helios suspended. Howe under investigation. Min Try disappeared from the directory like a deleted file. I stared at the city lights beyond the glass. Each one flickered like a heartbeat in code. Justice, I realized, wasn't loud. It was methodical. Precise. A sequence of choices that refused to break. My phone buzzed once more. A message from an unknown number. No words. Just a sound file. I pressed play. Waves of silence. Then wind. Then nothing. A clean slate. I smiled, small and quiet. The past had finally stopped recording. I closed my laptop, listening to the stillness breathe. The hum of the building sounded softer now. Not a warning. A pulse. Outside, the dawn was breaking in thin silver lines. For the first time in years, I didn't flinch at the sound. I just listened. And the silence finally answered back.